Welcome back to Fox Fight Game, presented by Tap Out. I'm Mike Straka, and this weekend, UFC 109, Couture versus Coleman promises to deliver some great fights. Let's talk Matt Serra versus Frank Trigg right off the bat. Our boy Matt Serra versus the old man Twinkle Toes. What do you think, Frankie?
Got to go with Matty. You know, I think he's got a lot of power in his hands. He's well versed in, in the ground game. Wrestling, you got to give to Frank Trigg. But I just think Matt's was, pretty game in that fight against Hughes. I think it kind of went his way, so I'm expecting he's going to win this one.
I agree. I thought Matt Serra probably should have won that fight against Hughes.
Yeah, depending on how you look at it, I'm being a little biased, and I thought he won.
Yeah, I'm biased too because we're both the same height. Right, Allison?
I like that that's your reason to be with someone. Although I do the same things. I'm like, I like their shorts. I'm picking him.
Chris Liguori, Matt Serra versus Frank Trigg. And Trigg's been around a long time, as long as Matt. Matt's a young guy, but he's been around this fight game for a very long time.
For sure.
Who do you like in this fight?
I like Matt Serra for sure. I think he's a little bit more well-rounded. Maybe not as technical striking-wise. I feel like he has the advantage, and he's a heavy hitter. Mm-hmm. Definitely on the ground. He's got the advantage there. And just as of late, he's been performing a little bit better than Trigg has. So I'm going to go with Serra in this one.
All right, Josh, Coleman versus Couture. Now, this fight was supposed to be UFC 17. It's now UFC 109, and they're finally facing off. What's your prediction? Pain.
Yeah, Pain. I like Randy to win. I just think you look at where they are in their careers and what Coleman brings. If Coleman doesn't gas, he's got a shot maybe. But the question with him is always cardio. He swears he's in shape, but, we've heard it before. I think Randy has the antidote for him.
Randy Couture is just a machine, isn't he? Frankie?
Sure. He's like a science project, you know what I mean? He just baffles me how he can be that competitive at the age he's at.
Well, and Allison, we talked about Herschel Walker being 47 years old. Randy Couture is 47 years old, but there's a world of difference between the skill set there.
Oh, well, how much more training does Randy have? It's that right there. And I think if you combine Randy and Mark's ages, it's like 91 years in the ring or something like that. So, but they're two incredible fighters. You can't deny them that. So I think it's going to be a really exciting fight.
Very cool. And one more fight that we want to talk about with Chris Liguori is Hollis Gracie going against Mustafa Al-Turk. Well, we'll talk about Chael Sonnen.
Actually, Mustafa got scratched because he had some immigration issues, I believe. So he's fighting this Beltran.
Oh, he's Carlos Beltran?
Not Carlos Beltran. Yeah,
football players, baseball players.
Another crossover athlete, I see. There you go. Why not?
Carlos is going to bring the baseball.
Did he retire too? Now he wants to do MMA? I don't know.
Dude, I threw you off for a second, didn't I? What are you talking about, Straka? Well, Chael Sonnen versus Nate Marquardt, that's a great fight.
Yeah, that's going to be a great fight. I think Marquardt's got all the tools to beat him. I really do. It's going to be an exciting fight, and Sonnen looked good in his last fight.
Yeah. And let's talk real quick about our boy Dan Miller versus Damian Maia.
That's another one. Could go either way.
Damian Maia is a great fighter.
Oh, phenomenal.
But we saw what Nate Marquardt did to him last time, right? It was
sure. Yeah. And that could happen to anybody. I don't think you look at just that fight as as too much. He got caught with a good right hand. He made a mistake, and a great fighter capitalized on it. But I think that's going to be a grind, man. I think it's going to be a great fight.
Josh, what do you think about Damian Maia fight versus Dan Miller?
There's tremendous jiu-jitsu from Maia, and Miller likes to submit people as well. Maia is probably the better pedigree, the better jiu-jitsu fighter, and so I'm leaning in his direction. But it's a good fight. All
right, Marquardt and Sonnen, that's going to be a great fight as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Nate. I like him pretty big, actually. Kale's a tough guy. He can control you and take you down. I just don't think he's going to be able to do that against Nate. And even if he gets takedowns, he's not going to outposition Nate. He's definitely not going to submit him. I think over the course of 3 rounds, Nate finds a way to get the stoppage.
Hey, Allison, people are talking about Nate Marquardt going up against none other than Anderson Silva if he wins. That's a tough fight, isn't it?
Definitely. Although I'm definitely a Marquardt fan. I just think he's really exciting to watch. He definitely is. But I don't know, Silva. That'll be one that I got to see, definitely.
I didn't know that Attack of the Show had an MMA expert. I had no clue.
We do. Both Blair Herter and Blair Butler are incredible MMA fanatics, and they literally approached the producers and were like, we want to do an MMA spot on the show. And they gave them a shot, and they did a great job with it, and now it's a regular bit. And it's become one of the few sports that we cover on our show.
In fact, I saw, and Frankie, you should, Samir Sadala is going to be on Attack of the Show today, talking UFC 109.
Cool.
You should do that show.
Yeah.
Get Frankie. You know who Frank Yeager's fighting next, right?
BJ Penn.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting one. I saw Diego about a week after his fight with him.
Yeah,
and,
his face looked pretty bad.
He wasn't that pretty, yeah. So,
Well, Frankie doesn't.
more power to you, man.
Frankie doesn't start off that pretty, so he's all right. Not much damage he could do.
I also saw him on his birthday, so he had a couple brewskis in him, I believe, at the time. So it was an interesting interview.
And you were the co-host of the World MMA Awards,
Right,
which I also covered, and Diego was memorable that night.
Oh, and I was the one who interviewed him backstage right after he won, and I got him to pose for a Twitter picture with our video camera, and I was like, it's not a real camera. But he was great. He played right along.
I'm going to do my impression of Diego Sanchez at the World MMA Awards. I just want to thank Clay Guida for helping me get the fight of the night. What am I doing up here? Round 3, stand by.